The story of the emergence of Hollywood on the face of the earth begins in the year 1853, when a small hut built of mud appeared in an area where cacti called nopal abound, where the area was named Nopalera after the cactus. By the year 1870 AD, a prosperous agricultural community abounding in many types of known and rare crops had developed there. The area was known to its residents as the Cahuenga Valley, which extends just beyond and just north of the Santa Monica Mountain Pass. Soon afterward, speculation over plots led to large tracts of land being fragmented and landowners flocking to it. In the city of Los Angeles, California, the Hollywood neighborhood is synonymous with the world of magic, money, and the power of the entertainment industry, as it is the capital of the film industry in the world, as Hollywood is home to many television and film studios and production companies. Despite its attractive stature, Hollywood has humble roots. It began as a small farming community, and has evolved into a diverse and thriving city where stars are born and dreams come true for a lucky few. It may be difficult to imagine that today's city of stars was in 1853 just a village, on which little mud brick huts were set up in succession, but over the next 2 decades the area became a thriving farming community called the Cahuenga Valley. When politician and real estate developer Harvey Henry Wilcox and his wife, Data, moved to Los Angeles from Topeka, Kansas, in 1883, where he purchased 150 acres of farmland in West Hollywood, he attempted to start a ranching experiment. The first to lay the foundation stones for the city was Harvey Wilcox in 1887 AD, a person who was banned from Kansas City, and he wanted to build a society based on his moderate religious beliefs, but the real estate emperor H.J. Wheatley turned it into a wealthy and popular residential area, and was called the father of Hollywood for his efforts. Things did not go as well as he had hoped, so in 1887 he submitted plans to the Los Angeles County office to subdivide the land, and worked to create an upscale neighborhood of luxury homes. By the turn of the 20th century, Hollywood had a post office, markets, a hotel, and even cars started driving on the city streets. Hollywood was founded in 1903, and merged with Los Angeles in 1910. At that time, Prospect Street became the now famous Hollywood Boulevard. According to one story, after Harvey and Data Wilcox learned that there was a town in Ohio called Hollywood, they named their farm by the same name, and a sign was hung up with the name. Another story says that H.G. Wheatley came up with the name while honeymooning in the area in 1886. Whatever the story is true, the three people played an important role in the development of the famous city. By 1900 AD, the area had a post office, a newspaper, a hotel, and 2 markets. Los Angeles had a population of 102,479 at the time. In 1902, the famous Hollywood Hotel, the first major hotel in Hollywood, was opened by Mr. Wheatley, who by then had become president and a major shareholder of the Los Pacific Boulevard and Development Company. After eventually acquiring and subdividing Heard's Farm, he built the hotel to attract land buyers, and was eager to sell these plots to the lemon growers on the hillside. At the beginning of the 20th century, Wheatley made efforts to secure the city's needs of water, electricity, telephone lines, and gas lines, but the emergence of a problem with the water lines led to the annexation of Hollywood to Los Angeles at the request of its residents. In 1908 AD, the first cinematic film was filmed in the city, and in 1911 AD the first filmmaking studio was built in it. Companies later rushed to build their own studios in the city, which reached 20 companies at the time, and Hollywood soon became the center of the film industry in America in 1915. After World War II, the film industry tended to shoot its films outside the studios, after the equipment and technology used in filming developed, which led to many of these studios dispensing with their locations and replacing them with external locations for filming. However, the boom of TV shows after the movies led to the city flourishing once again and restored its splendor. In the 60s of the last century, the city became a center for the most famous television programs, and home to the most important studios of television stations. The Hollywood sign is a must-see attraction, even though it didn't start that way. It was originally a clever electric billboard advertising an upscale suburban neighborhood in what is now the Hollywood Hills. The sign was originally written in Hollywoodland and was erected by Los Angeles Times real estate developer and publisher Harry Chandler in 1923 at a cost of $21,000. Each original letter was 30 feet wide by 43 feet long and attached to telephone poles. 4,000 electric lights lit up the huge marquees. The mark was only supposed to last a year and a half. However, it has become and has remained a part of Hollywood culture. During the Great Depression, the sign declined. It was partially restored in 1949 and the last four letters have been removed. In the late 1970s, the label was restored again and has appeared in countless films, including Superman, Mighty Joe Young, and The Day After Tomorrow. The Golden Age of Hollywood was a period of great growth, experimentation, and change in the industry that brought international prestige to Hollywood and its film stars. Under the dominant studio system at the time, 5 movie studios known as the Big Five dominated: Warner Brothers, RKO, Fox, MGM, and Paramount. Smaller studios included Columbia, Universal, and United Artists. The Golden Age of Hollywood began with the silent film era, although some people say it began at the end of the silent film era. Dramas such as D.W. Griffith's The Birth of a Nation, 1915, and comedies such as The Kid, 1921, were among starring Charlie Chaplin. It is popular across the country. Soon, movie stars like Chaplin, the Marx Brothers, and Tallulah Bankhead became darlings everywhere. With the introduction of films with sound, Hollywood producers have been churning out westerns, musicals, romantic dramas, horror films, and documentaries. Studio movie stars were more popular, and Hollywood increased its reputation as the land of the rich and famous. During World War I, after President Woodrow Wilson declared war on Germany, the Big Five jumped onto the political propaganda bandwagon. Often under pressure and direction from the Wilson administration, they produced educational shorts and reels about preparing for war and the military enlistment. They also presented their extensive list of famous actors to promote the American war effort. By the 1930s, at the height of Hollywood's golden age, the film industry was one of the largest in the United States. Even in the depths of the Great Depression, movies were a weekly getaway for many people who liked to trade their struggles for a fantastical, often dazzling world, if only for a few hours. Despite tough economic times, it is estimated that as many as 80 million Americans went to the movies each week during the Depression. Some of the greatest films ever made in the entire history of Hollywood were filmed in the late 1930s, such as Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Gone with the Wind, Jezebel, A Star is Born, Citizen Kane, The Wizard of Oz, Stagecoach, and Wuthering Heights. With World War II dominating the headlines, people needed to laugh more than ever before, and Hollywood was happy to oblige. Film studios have created scripts for the funniest comedians like Bud Abbott, Lou Costello, Bob Hope, and Jack Benny. Animated reels before the movie left audiences giggling and were often used to promote war propaganda in a playful way. On a serious note, newsreels and documentaries have brought the realities of war to life in ways audiences have never experienced and could not resist. But things were not as usual in Hollywood. Movie studios had to prepare for civil defense and constructed elaborate bomb shelters. Filming from the sea or near military installations was prohibited. Night blackout rules prohibit photographing at night. In 1942, the War Production Board began a $5,000 budget cap for new movie sets, forcing movie studios to cut corners, recycle props and equipment, and find creative, cheap ways to make movies. Many movie stars have enlisted in the armed forces, including Clark Gable, Henry Fonda, Jimmy Stewart, and Mickey Rooney. Hollywood actresses such as Rita Hayworth, Betty Grable, and Lana Turner added their sensual allure to the war effort by becoming love-hungry militant soldiers. Most Hollywood movie stars had used their fame to help sell millions of war bonds. On the surface, it smells like Hollywood glamour, but a darker side lurks beneath. As the famous Oscar Levant put it sarcastically, "Take off the fake Hollywood tinsel, and you'll find the real tinsel underneath." Every year, the allure of fame draws thousands of star-studded runaways and gullible dream chasers to Hollywood with little chance of making it big. Many spend what little money they have on acting lessons, agents, and shooting in the head. When the money runs out, these would-be stars often become desperate, even homeless. Some turn to drugs, prostitution, or the region's burgeoning porn industry. Drug and alcohol abuse has always been rampant in Hollywood and is often blamed on the pressures of fame and the nonstop flow of money. Hundreds of celebrities have suffered drug or alcohol-related deaths, including Marilyn Monroe, Judy Garland, William Holden, Truman Capote, Heath Ledger, and Whitney Houston. But the biggest secret in Hollywood may be rampant sexual assault. However, it reached a scandalous peak in 2017 when the New York Times broke a story that movie studio mogul Harvey Weinstein had sexually assaulted actors and employees for decades. He was fired from his studio as dozens of victims came forward to accuse him. The downfall of Weinstein has enabled many male and female entertainment industry employees to come forward with their stories of sexual assault. The 1960s and 1970s are considered by some critics and film fans to be Hollywood's second golden age, as the old studio system of the 1930s completely collapsed and restrictions on sexual content, obscenity, and violence were loosened. These changes gave leading directors like Martin Scorsese, Stanley Kubrick, Mike Nichols, Francis Ford Coppola, and others control over controversial content that was decidedly not family-friendly. Noteworthy films that embraced the spirit of the 1960s and 1970s counterculture include Bonnie and Clyde, The Graduate, and Easy Rider. 2001: The Space Saga, The Conversation, Mean Streets, The Godfather, and All the President's Men. By the mid-1970s and 1980s, computer-assisted special effects had evolved and helped launch blockbuster action films like Jaws and the Star Wars and Indiana Jones franchises. Delightful films like Rocky and E.T. sent moviegoers to theaters and made their movie stars larger than life. Movie ticket sales declined in the 1990s, but Hollywood pressed on thanks to the later increase in video, DVD, and Blu-ray rentals. With the 2000s, there was an increase in Disney movies, big-budget blockbusters, and crude comedies. Hollywood will undoubtedly remain at the forefront of technology and will continue to evolve how it does its business to remain relevant by engaging and entertaining audiences around the world.